Hi, folks. Someone sent me an email asking me what it means to have a teacher, so I thought I'd answer that. What does it mean to have a teacher? There is a famous piece of writing by Dogen that you can find in Kazuaki Tanahashi's book, Moon in a Dewdrop, which now has a different cover, so don't look for this cover, but anyway, it has a different cover now. And it's called Gakudo Yojinshu. Let's see what he calls it. Guidelines for Studying the Way. That's pretty good. I was thinking of like points to look out for when studying the way. I think somebody actually did translate it that way. My teacher did a translation of it, and I will try to remember to put a link in the description section below so you can find that. And I wrote a bit about it in my book, Sit Down and Shut Up, and I'll try to put a link to that, if I remember to do it, down below so you can look at that too. But one of the things it says in that book that really bugs people is it says something like you shouldn't study Buddhism without a teacher. The way that Kazuaki Tanahashi translates it is, until you have a true teacher, it is better not to study. I don't remember Nishijima Roshi's version of that, but it's pretty much the same. So that makes people want to have a teacher, and I've done videos on how to find a teacher, which is, I have no idea how to find a teacher. Will you be my teacher, meaning me, and I've done videos on that too, but this was what it means to have a teacher. It's hard to say. For me, let me see. Tim McCarthy was a guy I studied and practiced Zen with for about 10 years when I was a youth, from age 19 or 20 until age 30-ish, somewhere around there. I studied and practiced with him, and I often referred to him as my teacher, and he never objected. And Tim, if you're out there watching and you object to me calling you my teacher, let me know. But as far as I know, he never objected. He's seen it written in books and stuff and seen me do videos and things about it. But we never had a formal arrangement, except maybe that first year when I was literally a student of his at Kent State University. But other than that, we never did a formal arrangement. With Nishijima Roshi, I took Jukai, which is officially taking the Buddhist precepts. And generally speaking, when somebody takes the Buddhist precepts from a teacher, that is sort of an official recognition that the teacher-student relationship now exists. And most people in the sort of Zen world use that as their criteria. So that's what it means to have a teacher. But as I said, I didn't ever do that with Tim, and even with Nishijima Roshi, I'm pretty sure I was with him for at least 8, if not 10 years, going to his talks every week, going to his retreats every year, sometimes more than once a year, every once in a while having a conversation with him at his office, one-on-one, maybe every couple of months, every 3 months or something, not that often. And during that time, I considered him to be my teacher, and I don't know what he thought of me, whether I was his student or not. Before I took Jukai, I don't know. The point is, does it have to be a formal thing? It's kind of up to you. It's kind of up to you and your teacher whether it has to be formalized or not. And some teachers are very insistent that it should be formalized, and some teachers don't care at all. I'm one of those who doesn't care at all. Most people, I rarely give Jukai. I'm going to start giving Jukai again one of these days, but I've rarely given it. And but people keep coming and sitting with me and stuff. It doesn't have to be somebody you see every day. Even in ancient times, there are people who had teacher-student relationships in Zen who didn't see their teachers every day, who might have seen them once in their lifetime and still consider them to be the teacher, because it wasn't as easy. There was no email, there was no internet, there was no text messaging. Even letters you sent didn't necessarily get there, because there wasn't really a post office as such, So long distance learning was difficult, and some people, that's all they had, and teachers were rare and few and far between. It's actually much easier to find a teacher nowadays, I think, than it was 800 or whatever years ago that these sort of classical teachers existed. But so my answer to that is I don't really know. You just kind of got to feel it out and see what it feels like. But I thought I'd give you some of Dogen's points that he brings up in Gakudo Yojinshu. And I'm taking these from the Nishijima version of Gakudo Yojinshu as processed in my book Sit Down and Shut Up, and I did just go and take a look at the whole thing, but I think the excerpts I got in Sit Down and Shut Up are actually fairly good, if I do say so myself. So he gives you 10 criterion to follow if you are a student of Zen. First, he says you have to establish the will to the truth, bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, the aspiration to really study yourself honestly and thoroughly. He says this means you need to turn away from any gaining idea or desire for fame and profit, including spiritual fame and profit. And he says, quote, "If you forget yourself for a while and do your practice in private, you will become familiar with the will to the truth." That's nice. Number 2 is, when you meet and listen to the authentic teachings of Gautama Buddha, be sure to learn them through practice. And that means do them. That means do a meditation practice. It might be Zazen, it might be some other meditation practice, but you have to do it. Buddhism is a philosophy of action, is what Nishijima Roshi always used to say. It's not a philosophy you carry up around in your head and learn and memorize. It's a philosophy you do. It's a philosophy you put into action by doing a meditation practice, knowing the precepts and trying to follow the precepts and trying to modify your behavior to be Buddhist behavior. So it's more than just book learning. And his next piece of advice says almost the same thing. To enter into Buddhism, always rely upon practice. We establish practice just in our delusion. So that means you establish your practice, you don't worry to get a kind of understanding first and then practice later. Dogen says, if we analyze every step of our practice as a step towards enlightenment, our feet will not be able to make contact with a single speck of real dust, so we won't be able to really do it. And only by practicing can we be free of our old delusions, seeing the terrible serpent that we thought we were seeing was in fact nothing more than a creeping vine. So he wants you to kind of let go of your preconceived notions and do practice. He says Buddhas do not make intentional efforts for this to happen. It happens when they are activated by the moment of the present. So I paraphrase this in my book Sit Down and Shut Up by saying, you get it when you allow the universe to act through you without hindering what it wants with your own petty needs and wishes. I'm kind of amazed that I wrote that 15 or more, I don't know how long ago Sit Down and Shut Up came out. It's 2007, so you do the math and figure out how long ago that was. And add another 2 years because it took that long for the book to come out. That is something that I've been working on even lately, is understanding that my will, my own personal will, is kind of, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what I want. Things are going to happen the way they happen, no matter what. And I allow the universe to work through me rather than trying to get in the way of what it wants to do. That's a tough order, and you have to kind of give up a lot of your sense of being a creature who has free will. Which is not to say that exactly everything is determined, but it's not free will either. Number 4 says, do not practice Gautama Buddha's teaching with the intention of getting anywhere. Until the body and mind are perfectly balanced, experiencing the truth may be painful. And I followed that up by quoting Henry Rollins, who says, sometimes the truth hurts and sometimes it feels real good. That can be true. And a lot of times the universe, I hate to sound like a new age guy, but the universe is going to get what it wants from you, whether it has to force you into it or whether you're willing to do it. And sometimes that is experiencing the truth may be painful until the body and mind are balanced. That's one way of putting that. Number 5 is the one where he tells you need a teacher. Even if the medicine is good, unless the doctor tells the patient how to use it, it may be more harmful than poison. And he has a lot of warnings against getting a bad teacher. As far as his criteria for what a good teacher is, he says, generally, when looking for a true master, don't worry about age or experience. A true master is just someone who has realized the true teachings and received certification of a true master. Now, he does put that as a priority, having actually received certification. Knowledge of words is not important. Understanding is not primary. A person of extraordinary power and unrestricted vigor who transcends their own opinions, who does not linger in states of emotional consciousness, and in whom practice and understanding meet in equilibrium, this is just a true master. As for what's not a true master, Dogen says, some of them teach others to seek enlightenment that is different from a concrete mental state, and some of them teach others to look forward to life in another world. Delusion, confusion, and wrong ideas spring from these teachings. So watch out for that. In number 6, he talks about what we should know when practicing Zazen. And way back in the year 1234, he said, people today say we should practice what is easy to practice. But these words are not Buddhism at all. Even if we chose to practice something as easy as lying on a bed, it would eventually become tiresome. So imagine what he would think of people today if he thought people in the year 1234 wanted it easy. It's kind of ridiculous how easy a lot of people want things to be. And whenever you're looking for an easy way out, just think about other things you've done. It doesn't happen. I don't know why people think it's going to happen with meditation. His 7th piece of advice is anyone who hungers to practice Buddhism and transcend society should, without fail, practice Zazen. So he comes back to that over and over and over again, that the practice of Zazen is paramount. He next talks about the conduct of Buddhist priests and nuns who practice Zazen, and this can go for non-priests and non-nuns, lay people too. They remain at no fixed place with nothing to attach to either in mind or body. Someone who is pursuing the truth is already halfway to the truth. Don't give up until you get there, which I think is wonderful. It's one of the things that Dogen says a lot. Just the very fact that you are interested in this, that the fact that you're watching this video, for example, it means you're further along the way than most people ever even get. So don't give up and don't get discouraged just because things aren't going the way you think they should. Number 9 says, direct yourself at the truth and practice it, which, of course, means Zazen. The Buddhist truth exists under the foot of every human being, so it's right here. It's not something far away, but you gotta work at it. Belief in Buddhism, he says, should be the belief that we exist originally inside the truth. And this originally exist doesn't mean we existed inside the truth originally a long time ago. It means our origin is the truth. Recognizing that is important. Sometimes that gets lost, and sometimes we're not sure what that means, but recognizing it and accepting it is part of this practice. And finally, he talks about taking a direct hit in the here and now. And don't think it's that kind of hit, you stoner. He says, visit a master and listen to their teachings, or make efforts in Zazen. These are the 2 ways to take a direct hit here and now. When we practice Zazen, our practice and experience are securely grounded. Without changing this body and mind which we have had from the past, we can say that we are in the here and now, and we can call this a direct hit. It is not some new state. So that is what he says. Look at where you are here and now. That's a short version. I will leave the long versions in the what's it called? The description, YouTube description section. And I will also leave in the YouTube description ways you can donate to me. And right here on the screen is showing you a URL you can go to find my Patreon and PayPal links. And if you're on YouTube, they are below the video, right in the description section after the 2 things that I'm going to list. And that really helps me out a lot. I don't make any money these days except for your donations, or as I said, the trickle that comes in for book royalties every once in a while. So that's really important to me. But if you're having financial trouble, just don't donate to me at all. It's fine. I'm hanging in there. It's okay. But I'm okay because other people do donate. So thank you very much, those of you who donate. And we'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye.